Hey, everybody, and welcome to another installment of A Year of Thinking Magically, a master class that's designed to take us through a full year of making single one-day mind shifts. And today, we're going to talk about a concept that I think is really important as we wrap up the year, as we get to a point where we start to look at some of the things that might have held us back in 2019, moving into 2020. What we fear is something that tells us a great deal, and understanding how to interpret that can represent a powerful mind shift and a powerful change in our experience of life. More on that when we come back. And we're back. Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. John Michael Salvato. I'll be your host for our segment today. And just as I said in the beginning, A Year of Thinking Magically is a group, an intentional community that comes together every single day, Monday through Friday, to make a small shift in our consciousness, our awareness, and our beliefs. Maybe a small shift in our actions that cumulatively over the course of a year can lead to a happier, healthier, and more vibrant life. So if you find value in what we're doing today, if you find value in the discussion that we have, and this is a discussion group, we do these live so that you guys can jump in and comment. So if this is the first time you're watching this, please go ahead in the comments right now. Let me know where you're watching from, and welcome. If you're watching us on the rebroadcast, you could do the same thing. And if you have any questions or comments during the course of the program, be sure to leave those as well. I'm going to go ahead and put a ticker down at the bottom here that lets you know how, if you would like to really be part of a community that's focused on creating these changes, you can do that by becoming part of the community at the link that's showing up down below. And finally, before we dive into today's material, I'd like to encourage you to, if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe to these broadcasts, and then click the little bell that shows up as well, so that you'll be notified anytime new content comes out. We will be going on hiatus this week. Friday will be our last broadcast, actually, for the week, and then going forward, we'll pick right back up on New Year's Eve. With another daily mind shift. So if you're catching this and this is your first day watching, you're only going to get a couple days, but we're really glad that you're here. And again, as I said, whether you're a new viewer or you've been watching for quite a while, these broadcasts are simulcast on both YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So you can comment and jump in. Let us know where you are. Dave, it's great to have you here. I'm actually going to be on Dave Darren's show at the end of January, so we're looking forward to that. And folks, I encourage you to become part of the conversation. And so we've got Deb and Rob in Saratoga Springs. Glad to see you guys as well. Let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to go ahead and turn that banner off because that is distracting as hell. The word fear is described in Webster's dictionary as painful emotion marked by alarm, dread, and disquiet. Fear is one of the most subtle and destructive experiences that we can have, one of the most subtle and destructive errors that we experience in our interpretation of what's going on around us. It's a paralyzer of mental action, and it ultimately weakens your mind and your body. And that's a discussion for another day. In A Course in Miracles, we're reminded that whatever is not love is fear. And for me, as a witch and a root worker, I believe that to be the foundation of everything that I do, recognizing that in everything that we experience, in every thought that we have, and in every action, we're either operating out of love or we're operating out of fear. So what's it mean when fears pop up in our experience of life? What does it mean when fear pops up around the same topics and around the same ideas in our life? Well, I think that to understand that first, we have to understand that fear is rooted in our bodies. Now, our body, we're told, has a natural way of dealing with fear. It's called the fight or flight syndrome. And so when there's a trigger that causes the body to react with fear, conventional wisdom will tell us that when the thing that caused the fear is gone, the body will clear away the fear response. So that's supposed to happen. Now, on a biochemical level, we could talk about cortisol levels rising during the fight or flight syndrome, and how as we get older, we start to notice in folks that those cortisol levels stay elevated. They don't come back down. Well, why is that? Some people say that it's a result of aging. Other people say that it's a result of imbalances taking place in the body. And medical science will say that once the body calms down, it returns to a state of balance. So the real question that I have, both as a retired naturopath and as a metaphysician, is if that's the case, why don't we let it? Why don't we let the body return to a state of balance? Something else must be going on there. And one of the reasons that I believe we have this issue is because we misunderstand where fear is being triggered. We think it's taking place in our brains when it's actually taking place in the mind. And yeah, if the screen was a little bit higher, you would see when I point to my mind, I point to my gut. When we talk about having a gut feeling, we don't say having a brain feeling. We say, I feel that in my gut. When something's wrong, you get that gnaw in your gut. When you meet somebody and you're smitten by them, you start to feel that emotion of butterflies in the gut. And so too, when fear arises, we feel it in our gut. And so at some point, we have to recognize that an imbalanced body results in an imbalanced mind. And you've seen me on my other programs talk about the gut-brain axis, talk about restoring balance in the microbiome, the entire microcosm of the macrocosm that exists within your body, the small universe of other beings that are living in your body. And so once we understand how to create balance in our bodies, then we can begin to create balance in our minds. And so when fear keeps arising, and it's arising around the same topics over and over and over again, it tells us that we're not dealing with something that we've been charged with dealing, with managing. If you, for example, took your wealth to TD Ameritrade, and they're not paying me for this, so any other money manager, I just don't happen to have any of their names in my head right now. You went to a money manager or a financial planner, and you gave them your money, and then you talked to them in a couple months. And in a couple months, the guy says, yeah, I still have your money. It's right here in my drawer. You're probably going to be pretty irritated because that person has not really managed your money. They stuck it in a drawer. And there are ancient stories that give us examples of this, of taking the money and being entrusted with the king's wealth and then burying it in the sand. And when he comes back sometime later, you've got the same amount that they gave you. Well, life is like that. And so we're given these experiences in our lives, where we manifest these experiences in our lives. And we've talked in previous segments about how our external experience is a mirror of what's going on inside. And so if a fear arises, it's an opportunity. It's not a problem. It can be a challenge. It can be uncomfortable, but it's an opportunity for us to confront something that we've either not dealt with, not forgiven within ourselves, not let go of. And if we don't deal with it, it's going to continue to arise. So now we're moving into this holiday season at the end of the year. We're also moving into a period of time when many people look at what they've done in the course of the year to make plans for the coming year. And if we don't take a careful look at the fears that keep arising in our lives, we're going to continue to be held back. I really like something that Scott just posted. He said, like the feeling I got watching Republicans talk about impeachment just a few minutes ago. We have, naturally the phone is going to ring at this point. We have these things that continue to arise, that continue to present to us, opportunities that we have to either forgive something, let go of something, or come to terms with something. That it may just be that there's something we're choosing not to deal with. And that's all that fear is. And so, what's the solution to fear? Well, it sounds really simplistic, but guys, I promise you that in my experience over the last 50 years of working in this type of a metaphysical field, I can tell you that the solution is always returning to love. The solution is always returning to the present moment. You hear me say that at the end of every broadcast, and it's not a tagline. It's not just something clever or catchy that I say to wrap up the show. It's really what we need to do. And when you return to the present moment, that's where love is. Because see, in the present moment, if each one of you right now watching, come back to this moment, bring all of your focus right to where you are. You're watching this program, whether you're watching it live or on a rebroadcast, and in this present moment, you're safe. There's nothing going on that's immediately putting you in harm's way. There's nothing that's going on that's disturbing your peace. There's nothing that's going on that can take away your focus on what you're doing right now, which is working on bettering yourself. See, the reason that happens is because in the present moment, you dwell in that love, in that natural life force, that natural energy that is yours. And that allows you to communicate on multiple dimensions. It allows you to communicate in ways and with energies that you might not otherwise recognize as being present. So as we go into this holiday season, as we wrap up a year, why not return to the present moment, return to love, and recognize that that's the quickest and easiest and really only effective way to dispel those fears. Because when we're in the present moment, we can look at those things that frightened us and we can say, aha, this is a reflection of something I haven't forgiven in my past. When somebody behaves like a jackass, look at that behavior and say, when have I behaved like that? And maybe you're a perfect person who never has, but maybe you haven't forgiven someone else who's behaved like that. For me, I always recognize that when somebody behaves like that, it's time to let go of something that I haven't forgiven myself for when I behaved the same way in the past. Dave says something that I want to share with you guys too today as we wrap up. 2019 seems like we have to move day by day from hate, which is a strong word, but at least move away from the bitterness toward love. It's a long distance to that, and I absolutely agree. And I think that that's what this challenge that many of us are seeing as we watch some of the debacle on television today, some of the obstructionism that goes on, some of the refusal to deal with truth and to operate from a place of fear mongering, is that opportunity Dave talks about to move from hate or intolerance, or as I prefer to call it, because I don't believe the opposite of love is hate. I believe the opposite of love is fear. And hate is one of those byproducts. And yeah, it is a strong word, but I think Dave's right. That we have to daily make that decision to move from that fear space to a place where we can be rooted and grounded in love. So that's your challenge for today, and it's your challenge for tomorrow as well, because I actually will not be here live tomorrow. I will put a broadcast up nonetheless, but tomorrow I've got some family obligations to take care of that will take me away in the morning. Excuse me. But I challenge you today and tomorrow, make the most of this time to really look at the things that are popping back up in your life that may be representing fear, that may be representing a discomfort and a disquiet, and return back to the present moment, as we say at the end of every broadcast, to fill that present moment with gratitude and with awareness, and to recognize that, as we say every single day, that the best truly is yet to come. We'll talk to you guys soon, and I'll look forward to talking to you later in the week.